We didn't get any credits, but that's all right. At least we're on the air.
No Atheist Dance Party. No opening titles. Oh well.
No opening titles. This is the Atheist Experience, brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin. I'm the host, Jeff D. Our co-host is Martin Wagner, and our guest today is Arlo Pignotti.
Hello.
Normally in our sound room, that might explain some of our problems. Hi, everybody. We're live September 24, 2000 CE. The Atheist Community of Austin is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state.
Yay.
We have weekly, yay indeed. We have weekly meetings Sunday mornings at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop, 307 West 5th Street at 10:30 a.m. right after this show, except for the first Sunday of every month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of Furs Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. The next lecture will be held on October 1st. That's next week, right?
Correct.
The speaker will be Ray Mooney of UT's Department of Computer Science, speaking on the topic of artificial intelligence minds without mysticism. ACA board meetings take place at noon right after our regular meeting on the second Sunday of every month. Once every 3 months, we have a solstice celebration where we get as many members of the group as we can coerce into appearing on camera to come down here, and we have a big live studio audience. That's always exciting. I don't know when the next one of those is going to be. The Godless Gamers meet every Monday night at 7:30 at the home of Vic Farrow, except that Vic's out of town. So this week, we're going to be meeting at
Jeff Jones.
Jeff and Jill Jones' home. For more information, call our voicemail at 371-2911 or visit our website at www.atheist-community.org. This is a live call-in show, but we don't have our phone number up on the screen there.
Travis' titles are up in there on the character generator if you want to find them. They should
the
be.
titles are up in the character generator. We just need them to show up. We're not getting them on the monitor. Maybe they're going out over the air.
Yeah.
But we normally don't put the call-in number up until we get through our opening bit, because we got a few minutes of announcements and news and things before we start encouraging people to call in.
Well, I know it by memory now, so I can just say it out if we never get it up by then.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Well, let me catch up on some old business here.
Righty.
We're sorry about last week, folks. We've been having some scheduling problems, and so we had to run a tape last week without warning. But that seems to be covered for now, so we're back on the air live, and sorry if you missed us. If you see me or Martin on the street, you can stop and tell us you watched the show, and we will give you a "We don't hate you, we just think you're wrong" button. That's our show's slogan.
Which neither of us are wearing.
No, I've got mine right here. Would you like to borrow one?
If that's
to wear right on the show?
You should wear it.
Well, I got two.
Oh, well, goodness.
I don't have three, though.
Huzzah.
You're going to have to go without.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I was going to give them one
We're
anyway.
always being asked by Christians who call in, how come we hate them? And, we don't hate them. We just think they're wrong. Yeah. Even when we get miffed, we're miffed because they're so wrong.
Yes.
And
they just won't listen.
And so enthusiastically and emotionally wrong. Stridently wrong that it drives us nuts sometimes.
Well, I love Christianity as an entertainment, and you'll see why in a moment.
I want to let everybody know that our friend Emery Wang, who has a website called Losing My Religion, has his website has undergone a major update.
Good.
So anybody who's interested in that, it's essays by former Christians on why they no longer believe. The website is www.losingmyreligion, all one word.
.com.
Not as far as I know.
How can you have a
URL
URL with not .com?
I don't know.
Or .org or .something?
Try
servers.
It's probably .com, else try .org. Who knows? AIDS Walk Austin will take place on October 15, starting at Waterloo Park. For more information, call 452-WALK or visit AIDSWalkAustin.org. Any instances of slurs? What?
Nothing. It's not like I care if it has .com at the end. It's not like I'm going to raise a ruckus.
You did raise a ruckus.
Oh, I did. No.
Any instances of slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or other non-believers? We've had a week off, folks. And we're just brimming over with glee to be back. Any instances of slurs, defamation, or discrimination, I swear I'll get this out, against atheists or other non-believers in the U.S., in the media can now be reported to the National Atheist Ombuds by emailing ombuds@atheism.org. Please remember to include as many details as possible and a news source where applicable. Incidents will be reported to participating national and local non-theist organizations who've agreed to distribute press releases regarding the reported subject matter. To Christians who feel like wagging their tongues about atheists being inherently evil people, take note. We now have our own equivalent of an anti-defamation league, so watch it.
Yep.
Old business. Okay, we talked about last week's tape.
Yeah.
I am happy to report I was recognized at my local barbershop
Oh, you were?
by someone who watches the show occasionally. She mentioned that her mother used to work with Madeline O'Hare,
Oh, okay.
and she got a button.
Oh, good.
So it does happen, folks.
Yes.
I get a
People
sense
really
that,
win on the atheist experience.
I get a sense that that some people out there recognize us and they're just like, you know, too embarrassed to come forward. Nah, don't be embarrassed. You watch our show.
No.
Important, intelligent people watch our show.
Yeah.
We don't know who they are, but we're sure they're out there.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you, Travis.
Oh, excellent.
And also just, let's give a big Travis, thank you to Travis, period, for coming out and helping us.
Yeah, thanks very much. We basically have a hired gun
Yeah.
who stepped in to produce our show for us, for which we greatly appreciate. And I don't know how he's being compensated, but I intend to find out and make sure that it's good.
Yeah.
Now, 2 weeks ago, when we were on the show, things got kind of out of control.
Kind of.
Our guest, Paul Wilson, got awfully upset with one of these Christians, didn't hate him, but did use the F word, for which he has asked me to apologize, and also to apologize for any way in which he may have misinterpreted the caller and not taken him as seriously as he should. But specifically, what the caller was claiming was that Mary Leakey at one point had said that she found modern human footprints that were dated at 3.3 to 3.7 million years old. So I looked this up, and just to straighten out this problem, in fact, all that happened is that she has been misquoted. Mary Leakey was misquoted from an article in Time magazine. What the complete sentence from Time magazine reads: "If these creatures are in fact close kin, they would, in Mary Leakey's words, be people not much unlike ourselves, though not much more than 5 foot tall, and with much shorter lifespans and somewhat smaller brains." She did not say, and never meant to imply, that they were modern humans.
Yeah.
She was just making putting it in some perspective. Yes, they would have been hominids, okay? Big freaking deal. But this has been misquoted by, let's see, there's the name of the guy.
Don Patton? Or?
Wait a minute. Yeah, Don Patton, who is one, there we go, Don Patton, who is one of these guys with a fake degree who is making wild claims that he can't support about ancient human footprints. And now, as far as we're concerned, this subject is closed, at least as far as that caller is concerned.
Yes.
If you have questions about evolution, go to a great website called www.talkorigins.org. And there's a search engine in there where you can look up articles that respond to common creationist claims about evolution and its flaws and loopholes, and you'll find what scientists actually say. And more often than not, you'll find that the creationists are just making stuff up or taking it out of context and don't know what they're talking about. One more thing. Friday night, Amanda and Mark Lowy and I went to visit the Center for Inquiry Institute Fall Seminar, which it takes place. The seminars run by the Center for Inquiry take place all over the country. This one is here in Austin at the Omni South Park Hotel. We've been announcing it for a while. The seminar was called Scientific Examination of Religion, the Facts About Paul, Jesus, and Early Christianity. They had 55 people in attendance. That's as many as they could take. They probably could have fit more than that, but that was the size of their lecture hall. We spoke with Reed Johnson, PhD, professor, teacher, nationally recognized consultant on institutional effectiveness, and dean of the Center for Inquiry Institute in Amherst, New York.
And he probably has a real PhD, too.
And that's a real PhD
Yes.
from a real university with real accreditation. Anthony Battaglia, Director of Development for the Center for Inquiry Institute. Joe Barnhart, PhD, Professor of Philosophy at the, my notes still say North Texas State University. That's not quite right. The University of North Texas, I'm afraid I'm not, my notes here don't include the correction that he gave me when we were doing the interview.
I thought there was a North Texas State University.
But he specifically corrected me that that's not right.
Okay.
And also Gerd Ludemann, prolific German specialist in the New Testament and early Christianity, member of the famous Jesus Seminar, which has declared that many of the New Testament words of Jesus were probably made up by later writers. And he goes further than that. In fact, he's in an interesting situation where he was teaching New Testament history in the theology department of a university in Germany, and his studies led him to finally conclude that there was no indication of any supernatural events in anything that he found out about the New Testament, that the supernatural claims are made up, and he wrote a book about this called The Great Deception, which primarily focuses on the whole resurrection thing. And in this book he said, I'm not a Christian anymore. Well, the Lutheran Church in Germany just flipped out and said, you've got to fire him from that job, right? You can't have him be teaching theology if he's an atheist. And then the school said, we're not entitled to fire people for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then the other people in his department got together and they renamed his chair so that he's actually credited with, he's authorized to do different stuff. And so they're trying to marginalize him, and he's in the middle of a legal struggle in Germany over this. Okay, that's all that. Then I got a Rapture report, and this is backed up for a long time. I know.
Well, maybe we should just do the silliest ones. Or not.
I'll hold the Rapture report again, and let's go to news, just in the interest of getting things moving.
Okay, and then we can do Rapture report later on.
All right.
Well, several things in the news, and I also want to thank Amanda for contributing a few articles. This is a really exciting piece of science news. Astronomers on Thursday released time-lapse movies dramatizing the fiery behavior of two young star systems, observations that could shed light on the genesis, of our solar system.
Now, where did they get these movies?
Well, from the Hubble.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know the Hubble could take movies.
Well, evidently it can. The nearby stars, less than 1 million years old, that's pretty young, issue hot gas and blazing bursts of thick clouds or narrow jets, often so quickly that striking changes take place in weeks or months, Hubble scientists said. The fiery gas cloud that erupts from the XZ Tauri binary star system is only several decades old. And apparently you can see these animated time-lapse films as little, I guess, either QuickTime movies or animated GIFs on the web. You can try this article, just go to CNN.com and look for the Hubble stars thing in their space or tech section of their website.
Yeah, it was. She found it last night, so it's probably still in the science news section of the
Yeah, this is just a really, okay, yeah. So
you don't want to read the whole thing.
you should just be able to go out to the main page, or you might even be able to go to like the NASA's JPL website, which I think is like something like nasa.jpl.gov or something. But you can find it there. Just do a search, and looks pretty neat. Just this one little printout. So I'm going to go and check it out today. Also, I downloaded some bits about. There's a foo-for-all in some public libraries about the Harry Potter books.
Oh boy.
Christians are whining that these things promote witchcraft, which they don't. There's absolutely no resemblance between what goes on in a Harry Potter book and Wicca. And besides, they're just stories anyway. But the claim that's being made, which is what's really obnoxious and offensive, that these Christians are making is, oh, this violates the separation of church and state. So these people absolutely hate the Constitution and separation of church and state when it comes to things like, oh, no Christian prayers at football games or in the classroom.
Right.
But if there looks like there's something that some other religion is getting a foot in the door, oh, that's a violation of the Establishment Clause. We can't have that. And they don't even recognize the hypocrisy. It's hilarious. So that's pretty lame. There's a piece of news from England, a rather disturbing piece of news. A nun has been convicted of what the news article described as a 15-year campaign of terror against children in her charge. She was in charge of like a girls' school, and over the years, she one of the things she was convicted of having done. So I guess she did them. It's no longer an allegation. She like pushed a little girl against a radiator. She rammed a chocolate bar down a child's throat. And she would like throw dirty clothes at the children. She would just horrible abuse. And this woman has been convicted and is going to prison for this. So once again, this whole idea that religion and following belief in the Christian God is the only way to be a moral person. Well, I guess it doesn't rub off on some people.
And that's nothing new.
Yeah, really terrifying. And let's see. Here's the Branch Davidians, as you might have read. The U.S. government cleared itself, surprise, surprise, of any wrongdoing in the whole 1993 Waco fiasco. The Branch Davidians are now suing the government, saying Friday they will appeal a judge's verdict that cleared federal agents in the deaths of some 80 Branch Davidians in the 1993 Waco siege and fire. The lawyer for the plaintiffs, Michael Cadell, has said, quote, "It was clear soon after the trial commenced that Judge Walter Smith, had made up his mind and he could have written his opinion then." So this is going to go on and on. About the whole Waco situation. And I guess in the last piece of news, I don't know that this is of great pressing import to us in the States, but still, it's kind of disturbing. Lots of violence going on in Indonesia still. Indonesian police said Sunday they'd arrested 25 people suspected of carrying out a spate of bombings in the capital, including a blast at the Jakarta Stock Exchange that killed 15 people. What's going on here is now that these folks are trying to secede from Indonesia, and make Aceh, a northwestern province of Aceh, which has been wrecked by years of bloody fighting between separatist guerrillas and Indonesian troops. Well, the separatist guerrillas apparently want to set up an Islamic theocracy, and so once again, just religion causing lots of violence and bloodshed and killing again, all in other parts of the world. Pretty sad state of affairs. But that, by and large, is the news for this week.
Morning, Arlo.
Good morning.
What do you got for us?
Well, for me, I'm kind of a pessimist. I don't think religion's ever going to go away. So I'm trying to find some use for it, and I think it makes for great entertainment. I'm fascinated with religious marketing. Just the stoops. It does not just Christianity, it's all religions. The stoops they sink to, the lows they sink to sell their religion or promote it. And speaking of nuns, Paul Wilson gave me some new stuff. Now, I had a lecture not too long ago where I showed, I think, more than 100 items, and this is interesting, just to have a little show and tell of Christian paraphernalia. This is an indulgence certificate, and Catholic families actually pay money for this. It's like a get into heaven free certificate, and if you miss taking the last sacrament before death, you get out of hell free card. That's sort of what this is. I love Catholic stuff. I mean, it's just all entertainment for me. And this
they
Paul
are the
gave me.
one true religion. Just ask them.
Mm-hmm.
They have a saint for absolutely everything. Even Saint Clare, the patron saint of television. And a little patron saint.
Now, do you
of
know that that's a
television.
real icon? Because that's not. Isn't that
there's
some
a
other
saint.
company
There
kind
is
of poking fun at 'em?
There is a saint for absolutely everything, and they have a little bit about the the story on it behind here. But and this is biggie right here. This is cool. I got a hold of
Oh my gosh!
Holy
the
mackerel.
Last
That's
Supper
awesome.
in 3D.
Oh, the 3D actually works.
You
on
can
TV.
actually
Yeah.
feel. It actually feels like you're the 13th disciple. Notice, isn't it interesting how they?
It feels like you're the waiter.
Isn't it interesting how they all eat on the same side of the table, though? Someone had made a comment of that
Yeah.
from fact, and you can make their arms wave
Well,
around
I think
it
it's
and they're
because
doing
like
that.
the main stage with all the featured
Right.
dancers are on this.
Posing for the camera.
Where I used to work at this place that does this live auction show, home shopping show, they had something like that. It was a clock that had a 3D like Last Supper on the top and a 3D like Resurrection or something on the or Sermon on the Mount or Jesus with the kids and the sheep thing on the bottom, and it was real. Oh, it was so tacky, so phenomenally tacky, and they sold this stuff. It was amazing. Anyway, there's our live call-in number, folks.
But I'm not here just to pick on Christian. Oh, one more Catholic item, though. This is cool. It's a Jesus shot glass. Isn't that interesting? On the other side, you have Mary. They sell these at, I think it's called Santeria stores.
Oh, my gosh.
And this I forgot to show. Paul Wilson was nice to give me this all-purpose supernatural soap. This is also sold at Santeria shops. There are people who actually believe this stuff. It has fast luck, it's dominating, it has protection, divine eye, money draining. You can find peace with it.
Draining.
Money draining?
Money drain. Oh, drawing. I'm sorry.
Drawing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's money draining if you're falling for this stuff. But hey, I'm buying it. But I'm just buying it because I think it's a hoot.
Read your
And,
cash. How much was an item like that?
Well, we can't say that.
Oh, that's right. We can't say
Yeah,
it.
we're not selling this stuff. Just a review.
I nearly made a
This
big
is
mistake.
just a review of the wacky things that are out there. Now we'll stop picking on religion. What about UFO nuts? I used to be this in my early teen years.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
fall for stuff. You know, they really sell to young teens on this, talking about, you know, unidentified flying saucers as being UFOs from outer space. And I thought this was interesting. There's this book called Flying Saucers, Serious Business. And there's a warning in it, a disclaimer that says, near approaches of unidentified flying objects can be harmful to human beings. Do not stand under a UFO that is hovering at a low altitude. Do not touch or attempt to touch a UFO that has landed. And it just goes on with all these steps to UFO safety tips. And, you know, and even though that doesn't have to do with religion, atheists get a kick out of that stuff too, as skeptics. And
Well,
this...
it's close to being a religion, a pop religion.
Now, normally I wouldn't show something from the Weekly World News, but this is particularly special, and you'll see why. This is a alien mummy that's supposedly found with an actual picture of it, and it does look creepy indeed. It's kind of hard to see. But I know when I was young, I would see stuff like that, and I would...
Camera 3.
I used to find photographs as compelling evidence when I was younger, but what Paul also had to give me...
Now wait, what was that thing then, if it wasn't an alien mummy?
Let's debunk it together. I have the actual alien mummy right here. Ah!
That's a...
It's a
Pretty creepy,
it's a fish
isn't it?
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
It's a dried fish.
It's
It's
a
a kind of
shark.
fish that when it dries, it looks like that. That's actually the bottom of it. And when you see the top, you can see it looks more like a fish. But that's all it is, folks. Finding things.
Where'd you get that?
I'll try to bring in the plesiosaurus carcass if I can find it. Christians do similar things. You find a decomposed shark and claim it's a plesiosaur.
Where'd you get that shark thing, guy?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You might want to ask Paul because it was on his wall. And it was funny because first I saw the article on his wall and I thought, what is that? And then he pointed at the other wall where he had an actual body. I was like, very creepy.
Maybe Paul submitted that story to the Weekly World News, just as a gag.
It's fun getting things in the mail. Look at this. From the sacred pages of the Bible, miracle food cures that heal the flesh and refresh the body.
Yeah,
This-
hold that up there.
Discover miracle healing foods from the Bible. The sacred medicinal, is that really a drink? Medicinal drink that saved thousands in an epidemic. The Methuselah plant, Moses used it and lived in 3 centuries.
Hey.
Curative plant oils that powdered the burning bush. The amazing health-giving power of a grain blessed by Jesus. A miracle leaf from the Last Supper that helps relieve pain, restore strength when all else fails.
From
And
the Last
hundreds
Supper.
more.
How
Yeah.
many of these leaves are there?
Well, it was a
I
big
don't. That is funny.
It's a bay leaf
And,
out of Jesus' salad or something.
That's a cute little thing I found. It's a money church. It's a little church that you insert money into.
Get you
It's
used
for
to it early
kids.
on.
I think it's to train them. But it's similar to a piggy bank, but I think it hardly teaches them to save money.
Okay, let's
take a break. Yeah, we can always
take a
get back
call.
to that
I see a line lit up here,
Yeah.
but I have no clue who we're going to be talking to.
Yeah, we don't
So
have
let's-
our board out here, so we'll just wing
Let's see who we got. Hello? Hello? Hello?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, hi.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Do you hear us now?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you hear us now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
over the phone?
Yeah, I was going to make sure.
Okay.
On a couple of weeks ago, first of all, I really do want to thank you for spending a lot of time with Steve and answering his questions.
Oh boy, yeah?
I know it's hard on you guys, but I really have gotten a lot out of it.
Well,
So
you're
that's why I do appreciate it.
okay.
Because the thing is, as a Christian who does believe in evolution, I get more information coming from the people that tear down on evolution and stuff. So I don't really know. I really don't know the science to kind of back it up when I am confronted with some of these arguments.
www.talkorigins.org is a great website that you can turn to anytime you hear some charge against evolutionary science. You can go there, and they have a search engine. You can find what scientists actually say in response to that charge.
There it is.
www.talkorigins.org. Awesome.
It really is good. It took me a while to actually go and check it out. When I did, I regretted not doing it earlier.
What's your
It's a
name,
great
caller?
site.
Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Well, anything
You
else?
always get me mixed up with another Joe.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Oh, we used to have a different guy.
That's
So-
right. Also, some excellent and very accessible books by one of the foremost biologists in the world, a fellow named Richard Dawkins. And he has a few books. His most famous one is The Blind Watchmaker, and then he's written a sequel to that called Climbing Mount Improbable, both of which make a lot of evolutionary concepts, I think, very accessible to non-scientists. And he does a wonderful job of also really conveying the poetry of science and letting people know that it's really more exciting and interesting to know how stuff really works than it is to make up magical answers for things. And I think he has a few others, but check out some of his. I recommend them.
Okay.
If you stumble across one, Dawkins is his name, and he's a very good writer. Very exciting to read.
Anything else, Joe?
No, that's just about it. I'm kind of warning now. It seems like y'all pretty much are going to cut off this Steve fella.
Well, a lot of our feedback is telling us that we've given him enough time.
Yeah.
And we don't want. This show is not an evolution show.
Right.
This is an atheism show. Evolution comes up because we happen to not buy all of the religion-based attacks on evolution, and so it comes up a lot. But we're not about defending evolution. We're not scientists. If you want to know what scientists say, go ask scientists, or go to talkorigins.org, which catalogs all of these responses from people who know their business. Okay?
Can I say a thing or two about that?
Another question I have is I study a lot of religion,
Yeah.
a lot about religions, and I look in, like, when I go into a bookstore, I go to the religious section and stuff, but I don't find any books on atheism.
You can find them. I guess you're going to I bet if you go to Christian bookstores, you're not going to find them.
No, I'm talking
way.
about I'm talking about the mall bookstores. What's it, B. Dalton, and I'm talking about those.
Yeah, can I mention the name of a bookstore where I have found this? I'm not. It's risky because there's rules
Okay.
about
But
promoting.
you're
stuff
not giving
here.
the name of the book.
I know a bookstore where I go, and in the religion section there is a scattering of atheist books. Right? Atheism being, of course, not the dominant belief system. There are fewer atheist books than there are of other books by far, but they're out there.
Yeah. And a place and a section that I have found when I go to bookstores to look for these things, although we're not telling people to do that, is you'd probably be better served looking under philosophy,
Yes.
Western
Okay.
philosophy, as opposed to religion. Because religion books, you're going to find religion books.
I kind of hate
We
to.
can give you the names of some authors to look for.
Okay.
Bertrand Russell,
Bertrand Russell.
George Smith.
George Smith,
Dan Barker.
Dan Barker,
Ingersoll, or I don't know if it's...
Ingersoll, if you can find books by Ingersoll.
Yeah,
but
that's-
hey, who knows? Those are just some names to get you started. You might look for those.
And,
Yes, Don?
oh, okay.
Oh, Douglas Kruger, right. Oh, very good book. And that doesn't do us a whole lot of good.
I saw.
Don, walking in here.
Make a
letting
new
us see
paper airplane,
letting
throw
see
it
a
out
list
at
of
us
names
every
for
10
just
minutes.
a second. There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And also a good publisher to look out for if you look for publishing logos on the spines of books. Prometheus Books.
Prometheus Press.
Prometheus Press or Prometheus Books is, their logo is a little PB in a circle. They are a well-known publishing company that specializes in skeptical literature. So
Okay.
that could help you.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks a lot.
And we
Thank you for
appreciate
calling.
hearing from you.
And remember, we have nothing directly against Christians, right? I mean, folks like you call in, you're a nice guy, right? You're not trying to feed us some line of something. You're interested in information, and we're more than happy to give it to you.
Yeah. Would that there were millions more like you.
So, yeah, thanks for your call.
Well, thanks for the time.
All right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
All right, thanks.
The other comment, well, I guess I don't have to.
Now, I may or may not have successfully hung up on line 1, so if you guys would please tend to that in the control room. There we go.
There we are.
Was there something?
Well, I was just going to mention the reason that we are probably reluctant to take any more calls from our weekly fans, Steve, is specifically that the problem with talking to fellows like that, we have found, is that they are, because of the degree of zealotry of their religious beliefs, they tend to be stuck in this kind of intellectual cul-de-sac where they go round and round in circles. And they have a serious difficulty distinguishing between facts and beliefs. So to people like that, an established scientific fact is nothing more than simply a belief that competes with his own belief, and therefore can probably be easily refuted by simply bringing up one or two inconsistencies and saying, see, this is
Purported
purported
inconsistencies.
see, it's no more, of valid than what I believe. And conversely, they think that their beliefs have all the weight of an established fact. So there's this confusion there. And another problem is that they engage in these common rhetorical tricks by which, what Steve likes to do is he'll call up and he'll bring up a subject.
Can I interject for a moment and say,
Should I?
just don't want to talk about that guy anymore?
I don't want to talk about him
Okay,
anymore.
so get it over with and
Yeah.
let's move on.
Just, he'll bring up a subject, we'll refute it, and then instead of discussing it further or instead of challenging us,
Or ever admitting
that
we have refuted that.
He'll immediately introduce a new thing. For example, the reason Paul was on last week was to talk about university accreditation and how it works.
Right.
So when he called back that day, did
He
he
didn't want to talk about
No, he
whether
went right into
the
the
people
Mary
he
Lee-
was quoting had actual scientific background. In fact, he tried to play that against Paul by saying, well, you're not a biologist, so
Yeah.
you can't talk about that. Moron, excuse me. Oh, no, I'm not supposed to say
Yeah,
that.
I know.
We're telling you what people who do have valid degrees say. You're telling us what people who don't have valid degrees say, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
And let's move on.
Yeah, I know. Let's move on. It's
Let's-
just this whole throw something against the wall and something will stick and it'll instantly convert us, and it doesn't work that way. Okay.
Right. All right.
See.
So let's take another call. You got
Yes.
something else, quick?
If I have to just show, but if I'm going to show one more thing, though,
Let's
I
do
got
it.
plenty of things to show. I have to show this. Please
Okay.
zoom in on this if you can.
Okay.
Austin has its very own post-apocalyptic high-rise Bigfoot Jesus Trans Am, and I guess it's not
Focus.
clear enough to see it, but it says Jesus in big letters on it. A guy.
A little more. There he goes.
It's
All right.
like this Mad Max Jesus mobile.
We can't really
And you can see that in front of a Christian hair salon next to Revolution Music. It's great. And
So he's
the
all-
guy who, I talked to the friend of the guy who bought the thing. He traded his 10-speed bike for it, and he bought a new bike after that. I guess the thing
Yeah.
doesn't run, but I just thought that's like the crown of my collection there.
Wacky.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to
Ed on 3.
Ed.
Yeah, hi. Can
Hi,
you hear me?
Ed. What can we do for you?
Yeah, I missed y'all last week.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
It happens every once in a while.
Yeah, I have a question for for Arlo because I got on my birthday a few years one of the St. Clare TV
Yeah.
things, and I don't know, she slid off my TV, so I put her on my computer. I figured, maybe she might work on that or something, but then I started thinking about it, and it's like, what exactly is she supposed to do? Does she make the picture clearer, or
I mean, this is based on
make
a
it
saint.
last a long time, or
This is actually based on a saint who was around before television. They just sort of made that part. I'm not sure how it works. Like,
really? I was just curious
I
because I've had a little. Someone gave it to me for my birthday, and I work in a business, and it's a big joke to me, but every once in a while a client will come in and they're real serious about it, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit. It's really strange. And I've asked them before, well, what does she, that's good, but what does she do? I have her on my computer. I just figured maybe she'll make it better, or what. They can't answer me. They don't. I don't know what she would possibly do.
What's funny
for a
about this
TV.
stuff is when non-believers come across it, usually we blow it off as, oh, it must be a joke. You know,
Exactly.
many times it turns out not to be. There's people that take this seriously. It's real.
Anyway, I just thought I'd call in and let you know I got one of those for my birthday once.
They're out there.
My guess is that the functional effect of those little saint statues is to make sure that whenever one of the members of your flock has any kind of problem, their first thought is to turn to their church or their religion for help. I think that's what it's all about.
I see. Well, yeah.
I recommend just, find yourself a good computer repairman. All right? Thanks for calling.
Right.
And now I'm going to do Rapture. We got...
I'm going to talk to Lisa Marie
Let's
first.
take one more. Lisa Marie?
No.
Hello?
Uh-oh.
We're not getting anything online for her. All right, well, let's do the Rapture report then.
Oh.
Rapture report.
Sorry, call back if you can.
If we can get a close-up on our little Rapture calendar thing there. Okay, they're working on that.
Yeah.
What we do is every once in a while we fill you in on the state of the end of the world. There are some great websites where people, as a hobby, much like Arlo collects religious paraphernalia, these guys collect claims of the imminent end of the world. And the interesting thing, of course, is that they're always wrong, every single time. And they're almost always religion-based. Interestingly, something from the news on September 12th, which would have been a lot more pertinent last week, hundreds of members of a polygamous Mormon splinter group have pulled their children out of the public schools along the Utah-Arizona state line, preparing perhaps for the end of the world.
Yes. I had that printed up as a news article for last week.
They acted at the direction of Warren Jeffs, who speaks on behalf of his aged father, Rulon Jeffs, the church's prophet. In mid-July, Warren Jeffs ordered followers to take their children out of school and cut off contact with former church members. Church members said they are taking charge of their children's education and schooling them at home, just like other parents across the country. Other people, particularly former members of this cult, say that Jeff's followers are preparing for the apocalypse their leaders say is at hand. Well, don't know when that was supposed to happen, but if it was sometime before now, well, then that's a big
the news article I printed up said that they were expecting it to happen within days.
Failed.
Darn.
Failed. Get those kids back in school.
Yeah, well, so they can learn some science.
September 6th, according to David Adam Millar, the peace accord between Israel and Palestine on June 13, 1993, marked the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. On September 6th, the Antichrist was supposed to proclaim himself God and begin the Battle of Armageddon. Not. September 13, according to the House of Yahweh, the 7-year tribulation began on September 13, when that's the same thing. Except that I get it.
When Yitzhak Rabin shook hands with Yasser Arafat.
Right, they're saying...
that was like the moment, the magical bzzz, and it all started right there.
Right, these guys, this is two groups, took the same event, the peace accord between Israel and Palestine. One guy came up with, 7 years from that is September 6th. The other guy said, 7 years from that is September 13th. Wrong.
Sorry, guys.
September 16 to 19, 2000, somewhere between September 16 and 19, Phil Stone expected something that he had dubbed the Coastlands disaster to occur. He has, surprise, surprise, derived his chronology from, you guessed it, the Bible. Not. September 17, 2000, many pyramidologists, basing their calculations on measurements of the Great Pyramid of Giza, claim that the second coming will occur on this date. Moira Timms, author of Beyond Prophecies and Predictions, claims that the Great Pyramid's supposed 6,000-year prophetic timeline and thus the world will end on that day. In case this fails, she posits the Mayan calendar date of December 23, 2012 as a backup doomsday. We'll get back to you on that one.
So she's now deriving from other religions for the Christian end of the world.
She was preemptively covering her ass in case that this one didn't come true, which it didn't. September 21, on his webpage, Dan Millar proudly proclaimed this the date for the true date of the second coming of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Not. Unless it happened and we missed it. So, there are still more pending. People are making these bizarre predictions all the time, and they're always always wrong.
Yeah.
So-
Well, actually, as I read in Skeptical Inquirer, no prophecy is ever wrong. It just gets postponed. Yeah, it just gets.
Right.
Yeah, the date just changes.
Or they pull stunts like, was it the Jehovah's Witnesses? I forget which group, and I hate to smack down the Jehovah's Witnesses for something they didn't do if I'm wrong. But there's a large religious group that had prophecies of the return of Jesus that were supposed to happen on some date in like the 30s or 40s or something, and when it didn't happen, they covered their butt by saying, oh, well, it did happen. It was just spiritual, so you couldn't see it.
Oh, I couldn't see the end of the world.
heard that one
because it was
before.
all
It's called
spiritual.
making stuff up, folks.
I would understand if I just don't understand what's in it for him. What's in it for him?
You know, and that's interesting,
Yeah.
because that's exactly the argument that the Christians use when they say, well, the Bible wouldn't have been just made up, would it? The stories about Jesus wouldn't have been just been made up. What would have been in it for these people? Obviously, there doesn't need to be anything in it for them. Kooks will do as kooks will do. You know, they will
Yeah.
make stuff up. They may even believe it, but they're wrong.
Yeah, I think it's just
Well, that's
for
like saying
attention.
David Koresh wouldn't have died for what he believed in if he wasn't really Jesus himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they just want the attention.
Boy, I don't know what order to take these in anymore. Let's just try. Don? Hello, Don. Don? Don on line 2. I'm not getting anybody on line 2.
Our phone box is suddenly not happening for us.
Can we release line 1 in the control room?
Yeah, what's going on with
I
that?
don't know what's going on.
Okay, air. Okay.
Okay. Let's try this again. Don, if you were there and I did something wrong, please call back. Let's go to
Sandy,
Sandy. Sandy.
hello.
Hello? They're still not getting anything. Something's up with the phones. I got Sandy. Says
Okay.
she's on the air.
Okay.
Hello, Sandy. No. I'm going to release line
put her-
3.
Okay.
It appears to have been successfly released. Let's
Must be
try.
a
I'm going to go through all these lines
Because
because I don't know what else
we're
to
not
do.
even hearing a click over the monitor.
We're not
It sounds
hearing
like the
a click on
monitor's
monitor.
turned
If
down
If anybody in the
or something.
control room is trying to help instruct us, we're not hearing that either.
Yeah, because we got the door closed. So.
Let's go to...
Hang on, callers. We'll figure this out.
Let's try Rob. Rob. No, we've got nothing for calls, so let's...
Maybe just.
I'm going to put Rob back... Oh, I lost everybody. Okay, now according to I got 3 blinking red lights and nothing else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll figure that out when we can.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. This do happen.
Why don't we go back to you? Show us some
I've
more
got
fun
plenty of
stuff.
stuff. I have an update for something I already have shown for the lecture. We didn't know what this was. It was some kind of spiritual assortment pack. I call it...
That thing in the middle.
That's why I call it Catholic voodoo. They always have this mixing of saints with these other strange, more pagan gods. And I'm still not sure what that person in the middle symbolizes. All I know is what it's used for, because I met someone when I went to San Antonio to do my lecture there. I met a gentleman. He's atheist, but his wife believes that this is supposed to do something when you hang it on your front and back door.
Huh.
And I think it somehow keeps away burglars or something. If I were going to rob a house, I probably would avoid the one with this on it. Not because I'm afraid of supernatural powers, just afraid people might believe in stuff like this. But yeah, you just nail it to your walls and stuff. So that's the instructions on how to use it.
we would greatly appreciate any feedback from the control room on the phone situation.
Now you've seen me before. I brought Testaments, the Christian breath mint, and
Yeah.
Scripture cookies, the Christian fortune cookies. But
And we're not... I'm pressing the buttons. We're getting nothing.
Yeah, no, we're not hearing it over the speakers, I think, is the situation.
Huh.
I'm going to show one more thing. We can
All right.
get back to that
Okay,
again.
we'll
But
try
I
it
actually
again.
found, let's see, what is this? Confession candy. They're just more mint. And repentance. Oh, no, these are commandment candy.
Commandments.
Commandment candy. There's little commandments
And
on
what
it.
part of
Isn't
the
that
body
cute?
of Christ is that supposed to transubstantiate?
Oh, and this I didn't get to show the last lecture, called The Pope's Secrets. And boy, is it possible to zoom on this, because this is such a great picture. But what it is it's a conspiracy theory that the Pope actually killed John F. Kennedy.
How does that happen?
Oh, gee.
All right.
Can we switch camera? Oh.
okay.
Well, anyway, it's a picture of the Pope doing this. Peekaboo.
All right. We're going to try some
Let's
more
try some more
calls.
phones again, yeah.
Maybe...
And
okay.
we've got a note.
All right, and
We're working on the phone system.
well, we're gonna just give it a try. Lisa. Nothing.
You want me to run in the sound room and
Yeah, would you?
see if
Okay.
I can give any kind
Yeah. Okay, we'll figure this out. And in the meantime, everybody just hang loose.
I'm waiting. I'm on
Wait.
hold.
Aha! We gotcha.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello?
Hello? You
Hi.
hear us? Do you hear us,
Am I
Lisa?
talking to you all?
hear you.
Yes.
Everybody's
It's
talking.
you, Lisa.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Over
I
here,
think
everybody.
everybody's on the line.
Everybody's on the line.
Everybody.
That's good. Okay, we're going to talk to just Lisa right now.
Okay, let's try to put...
What's up? What can we do for you?
We need to put some...
Actually, I just had kind of a curious question for you. I understand that you all have a lot of cartoons and everything, and you're kind of making fun of the Pope and Catholicism. And
Oh, no,
and
no.
No, hear me out.
Okay.
Please.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just wondering, did any of you all ever go to church when you were little?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and you said that some of your viewpoints is because there's no basis in the Bible for anything that's happened scientifically proven on Earth. Is that what it is? Is that what you're saying? Because they found Noah's Ark.
Actually,
They
no,
found
have
Noah's Ark 14 times. That's happened 14 times. I have several of the articles. I should have brought that.
And
so many
in
times.
at least one case, it's interesting because some guy, as a practical joke, was in contact with a film studio that was making one of these TV specials about the discovery of Noah's Ark, and he fabricated a piece of wood from the Ark by taking a railroad tie and soaking it in various things he had around his kitchen, including teriyaki sauce.
Okay, well, a lot of
And he
people
handed
lie.
this over to these guys, and they not only didn't bother to seriously look into his claim and find out if he was just making it up, they actually opposed attempts by others to come in and check it out. Okay, so this is the attitude you're dealing with
Okay,
among
well-
people who are making claims like they found the Ark.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not hypocrites out there and people that lie, okay, because there's a lot of, greed and stealing is by nature of natural man. But what I'm asking is,
I don't know about that.
is the Bible mentions something about dinosaurs as well, and the
No, it
Bible
doesn't.
isn't- Yes,
No, it doesn't.
yes, it does. And
Well, first of all, there's
unicorns.
no
I know
word
that-
for dinosaur. Go ahead, Arlo.
Dinosaurs
Oh,
and
I was
unicorns.
just going to say, I think I know what you're going to talk about. Behemoth, right?
No, I'm just saying
No?
that the Bible
Okay.
also
Well,
mentions
that's as close as it
dinosaurs.
gets. And
Well, are you going to hear me out?
Yeah,
I was
I'm
just-
sorry.
okay.
Go ahead.
sorry.
Right, the Bible mentions dinosaurs and also unicorns, and that was written before there were
Okay.
Yes, it does. It does mention
archaeologists
unicorns.
and
Hey,
things
Lisa,
of that nature.
you
And
do us a
there's
favor?
scripture in the Bible that says that
Hey,
no
Lisa?
man is ever going to know God's works from beginning to end. And the third thing is that I've lost my train of thought. Hold on.
Well, I'll tell you what. Will you do us a favor?
Or the third thing is that in my professional belief, I think that science describes the works of God. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is not a God. Because, I know that there are some people from both ends of the spectrum that go way far out of reach with science, and some people go way far out of reach with religion. And, the Bible is the Bible, and there's things that's prophesied in the Bible that's come true.
Like what?
Unicorns?
No, let's not get into that. Tell you what, Lisa, will you do us a favor?
What's that?
Because, being a practicing Christian, you're in a better position to do this than us. Would you please go to your Bible and find us chapter and verse on unicorns?
Okay.
And on
Call us back on the show and give us the exact chapter and verse where unicorns are
And
mentioned in the
dinosaurs?
Bible.
I think it's in Job.
Unicorns and dinosaurs both?
But wait, why does unicorns in the Bible prove anything scientifically?
Well, because the Bible was written way after the dinosaurs and the unicorn, and I don't understand without archaeology viewpoint past that how, if it wasn't true at all, then why would it be in the Bible? Do you understand what I'm saying?
If it wasn't true,
Yeah.
why would it be in the Bible?
Yeah, you lost us there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Look, here's
well,
the-
there's things that are prophesied and things that are spoken of in the Bible that before man and scientists even knew about.
Okay, so but
Unicorns.
But no, there aren't. And
Okay.
please,
Well,
do we
I
have?
wanted to ask you
Actually, do
something.
we have a Bible here?
We usually do. We do.
Yeah, we don't
usually
today.
do.
Sometimes we have one around for reference.
Well, you really
the thing
should.
is, the thing is, what's happening, and I guarantee you, in both those cases, go look them up yourself and read what it actually says. Okay.
Okay.
It does not say.
Have you ever read
It does
the Bible?
not say dinosaurs.
Yes,
It does not. Does it say unicorns? Literally?
Yeah.
Is that where the word is from?
In the New International Version, it does. That's the translation.
Okay. So
In that
somebody
version.
has gone in there and translated it so that it says that. Well, it doesn't. I mean, you can take an old book and you can read
It's
into any words that are in there anything you like. Okay. There is no. I mean,
Well, how do you explain?
in the Bible where it says that Joshua stopped the sun from moving in the sky, right? Clearly, they had the idea that the sun orbited the Earth. Okay. But it doesn't. And it's all those kinds of things, clear indications that they didn't know what they were talking about scientifically,
Okay.
that make it very doubtful that you can take a word like behemoth and because it means some big thing
Okay, I
that
have
they used to
no-
have and they don't have now, that therefore it means
I don't
dinosaurs.
have any clue
It's
about
ridiculous.
Bohemians, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm wondering, have you read the Bible all the way through from cover to cover?
No, I
yeah.
haven't. Some,
Oh,
I've,
but you
I've
are-
read the
but
Old
you are-
Testament. I've read 2 of the 4 Gospels and Revelations. I've read a pretty good,
Okay, but you haven't read it from cover to cover.
like
But yet you're
like that
sitting
last
here
gospel
being
that
an
I
atheist.
haven't gotten to yet. Is going to make it
okay,
all.
Please don't talk over me.
Okay, but, I mean, here
Wait,
you are
she has a
sitting being an
question.
atheist and commenting on a book that you've yet to read from cover to cover.
Like-
Don't you take a
like-
walk? I mean, you've done more scientific research than you have research in the book itself, and I don't understand where you have the right to comment on something in the Bible from
Like
cover
Mark
to
Twain
cover when
said.
you have yet to read it.
Like Mark Twain said,
Okay,
it's
I'm not talking
like
Mark
Mark Twain said, it's not the parts of the Bible I don't understand that worry me. It's the parts I do understand. Okay?
Okay. Well,
I
obviously,
mean, if we want to get
you
into
haven't
talking
read-
about...
But that's what I'm saying. You haven't read it from cover to cover.
The Bible
But
isn't
yet
a book. It's
how
a
can you
series of
understand
books.
what you read when you
All
take
right.
it out
Hang
of
on,
Look,
context?
thanks
Can I
very
answer-
much for your
can
call.
I answer her?
We're going to have to move on.
Okay, well, don't take it out of context and read it from cover to cover, and then I'd like to hear what
Actually,
you have to say.
I have done this, Lisa. I did read the Bible cover to cover for over a period of several years when I was a teenager going to church. And I was struck by things in there that really bugged me, like 2 Kings 2:23 and 24, where God is sending bears to kill children. And then there were parts of it that just really didn't make sense, and I never got a satisfactory answer from my Sunday school teacher as to why these things didn't make sense to me. And he just said, well, you just have to have faith, or he gave me some answer, a variation on that.
Well, you
But the
act as
point
though-
is, I'm sorry.
Okay,
The
well-
point that I want to make is, though, okay,
I have an answer for that, by the way.
go right ahead.
Go right ahead?
Yeah, please answer his
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
Well, I believe in evolution. However, I also believe in the Bible, and evolution kind of explains what God did.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of Christians
Now,
feel
as
that way.
far as him being the creator, God is the creator of all man, and men get angry, and people think that God has no anger. Well, when God gets angry, he means business, because, I mean, I know, I'm sorry that I'm
excuse
not
me,
doing the
Lisa,
proper professional thing.
excuse me, if I could just
whatever.
interrupt you for a second. We don't believe in that guy in the first place, okay? We don't, I mean, you can tell us what God thinks about this, that, or the other thing, and we don't care, right?
Okay,
What you
well,
have to do
what is your
first,
names? 'Cause I'll
what you
pray
have
for
to do
you, okay?
first,
Because
no, Lisa,
Revelation is
please,
coming,
please,
and I
Lisa,
really
now
don't
you're
wanna
talking
see
over
anyone
me
go to
now, and that's
hell.
not fair,
Pardon?
okay? You're talking over me now.
Okay.
And please don't. Let me make my point, okay? Until you've proved that your God exists, why should anyone care what any of you believers say he thinks about anything? Right? Surely the first thing that has to happen is you got to prove that he exists.
Okay, I have
Now,
a
if you can
question.
do that, get back to us
Okay.
because we're interested,
Okay,
okay?
well, I
But if
have
you
a
can't,
question.
don't tell us what he thinks about stuff or whether he has anger or not. Why should
Okay.
we care?
Okay, well, I can tell you that in my own professional experience with science and in my own spiritual relationship with him, okay, I've spoken in tongues, Okay, I've read the Bible. I've got on my knees and I've prayed. No, listen and hear me out. Okay, I don't understand what has hurt you all to turn you against God.
Oh, here we go.
We're not against God. We don't believe in God.
We're not against God.
Do you think Darth Vader is a good guy?
No, wait, hold on.
Do you hate Darth Vader, or do you just ignore him because you know he's a
You're gonna
fictional
continue.
character?
Hold on, okay?
Yeah?
I don't know where you went from church and being a teenager to now not even believing that there is not a God, when I'm sure that you've heard testimonies by people about God's blessings. Okay,
Well,
that's one thing. Hold on.
Okay, I'll address that
That's
in a minute
one
if you'd
thing.
let me.
Okay, the second thing is that if there is not a God, then how many planets are in the solar system, and how many planets actually have human life on it if the Bible doesn't go from point A to point B from cover to cover and tell you how human life and form got on the Earth? Why doesn't Mars have life? Why doesn't Pluto have life? See, there's different planets in the solar system, and yet the Bible explains to you why there's only life here on Earth. And I don't understand the scientific point of view where you say that because God doesn't exist and you have to prove it for me. Well, I, for one, have been through a rough life myself, okay, and I know that I've said my prayers, and each time I've said my prayers, God has brought me out of it. Now, whoever I'm praying to, you can say, oh, it's circumstantial, but not all 30 years of my life. I don't think so.
Thank you very much for your call, and Martin's going to answer at least one of that huge series of points that you just made.
What is your name?
Huh? I'm Jeff.
Names?
That's Martin, and this is Arlo.
Martin and Arlo?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll pray for y'all. Thanks.
Okay.
Excuse
Bye-bye.
me. No, I rather insist on responding to that. Lisa? Oh, she hung up.
Okay.
Tell you what, instead of praying for us, how about you send us some money? Because your point you're trying to make by saying you'll pray to us is that you care about us and our problems, okay? But we have no reason to think that your prayers are going to do us any good whatsoever. If you want to really help someone, give them some money. Because we know that in our culture, money can be used to solve at least some problems. If you're not willing to give money, instead of going, on your knees and thinking to yourself in your mind that maybe you're asking some super powerful entity to intervene on their behalf, right? If you're not willing to actually do something that really obviously counts, then you're just, this whole concept of I'll pray for you is just an opportunity for you to pat yourself on the back, to tell yourself that you're doing some good for somebody else when you're not.
Yeah.
We can't really ask for money, though.
When you decide how much money you'd be willing to part with for our sake, we'll know precisely how much your prayers are worth.
Yeah.
Do you have? Now you can go.
I wasn't going to be that harsh about it.
All right.
Anyway, okay, I'm going to, I'll address, actually, it's interesting that you bring up the whole planets thing, because that's usually what I bring up when Christians try to tell me that this universe was intelligently designed. Well, the first question that I have is, okay, well, if we had this intelligently designed universe, why is there all this wasted space? Why isn't every planet in our solar system suited for life? Because that seems to me how an intelligent guy who was designing an intelligent solar system would, our intelligently designed solar system would say, all right, I'm going to give it 9 planets, and I'm going to put X amounts of life forms on each one. But they did. That didn't happen.
Or just not waste his time with, say, an asteroid belt, which is just a great source of chunks of rock that can come raining down on us and kill us periodically.
Like Jupiter, we had the comet crash into Jupiter, and if any life had been there, it would have been built a nasty blow.
Let's put a big bowl of gas.
The fact that there's only life on this Earth proves that this all happened by just amino acids came together in the primordial oceans, and then from that, single-celled organisms, and we had this entire evolutionary process that sprung from that.
Why would this omnipotent God waste his time?
Yeah.
Waste it, well, okay.
Yeah,
waste is kind of a strange concept when you talk about an omnipotent entity, but, they had him resting, so what the heck?
Yeah.
Why waste your time on this huge universe with zillions of galaxies, galaxies beyond ours? Ours is just an insignificant little star at the edge of a rather mundane-looking galaxy, right? And there's all this other stuff out there. Why isn't it all chock full of life, right? Why on Earth? Why ever?
Why anywhere?
Would a God create all that stuff if really the point of it was us?
And there are vast, immeasurably vast stretches of the universe that are really amazingly boring. in which nothing's going on. And there are vast, immeasurably vast stretches of the universe that are incredibly dangerous, that are far too radioactive to support life.
Yeah.
You know, this whole idea of the anthropic principle that it was all put here for us is just pure nonsense. It's not based on anything. And now the issue of personal testimonials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, do we have to respond to all these points? Let's move on and take some calls.
Okay, we'll take it. Well, I do want to just address the one thing where she get into this whole deal that Christians do, but I don't know what horrible thing hurt you to turn you against religion. Look, it had nothing to do with that. Can I be on camera? There you are. It had nothing to do with that. It's called thinking, okay? And the fact of the matter is, you know, there are people out there who are predisposed to believe in stuff. And there are people out there who take a more skeptical bent, okay? Now, and Jeff, and other former Christians who have become atheists, we're just guys who were told this stuff, and instead of believing it uncritically, we thought about it for a little bit. That's all we did.
Yeah.
And what I got from Lisa was that this is a girl, you know, once again, now I don't want to play therapist like Christians like to do, but it's clear just from what she said, all about talking in tongues, which is glossolalia, which is known to be a trance state that people go into, where they babble meaninglessly and they think they're doing stuff. And it's all rooted in these kind of emotional needs that they have. I mean, she said she's been through hard times, she's prayed. And then, of course,
we don't know what terrible things happened to you to make you a Christian.
To make you a Christian. See, it's all... Religious belief that I have found is most often rooted in... People believe in religion for several reasons. They have emotional needs that aren't being fulfilled, okay, by just the pure, cold, hard facts of science. Or they've simply been instructed and indoctrinated from infancy to believe in this stuff. That's all it is. And personal testimonials, I'm sorry, anecdotes don't count as evidence. They don't count as good hard evidence. I mean, a lunatic could tell me about how he saw some 9-foot-tall guy with 3 heads walking down 6th Street yesterday, but, you know, that's not evidence of any meaningful sort.
But he really believes it.
But he believes it because he saw it.
You don't want to be gullible. You can be open-minded, but don't be just flat-out gullible.
Have an open mind, but not so open that your brains fall out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Sandy on 1. Sandy?
Hello? Oh, here we go.
I think we lost... no, I didn't really expect to find Sandy there, but the lights on line 1 have always been a little weird. Let's go to Don on line 2. Don. Hello, Don.
Oh,
Don,
I do hear background noise.
We're hearing something. Don,
Hello?
you sit down.
There you go. Hey.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, actually, my name is Aaron.
Oh,
Aaron.
Hi. Sorry.
That's my fault. My fault. Hi, Aaron. What can we do for you?
Okay, my question is, well, I have 2 questions. First, what is the basis of your morality, being that you don't believe in the Bible?
Okay. All right.
That's a good question.
Let me turn this around and ask you what. Are you a Christian?
No.
Okay. Well, all right. I'll have to talk about them and I hope I don't mischaracterize their positions. But to a Christian, the basis of morality is, well, it comes from God, right?
Yes.
And if you ask them, well, where does he get it from? There are 2 ways to answer are either he makes it up, right, or else it's inherent in the nature of the universe. And I think that's where morality does come from. I think it's either made up or it's inherent in the nature of the universe. If it's inherent in the nature of the universe, then what we do as non-believers in God is we look at the way the world works. We pay attention to what happens when people act certain ways, and we draw the obvious conclusions, right?
Yeah.
And to the extent that we're trying to make sense of the world around us, we're making it up. But we're making it up based on what we see, on what's effective, what's not effective, what makes people happy, what makes people unhappy, what makes people able to work together, what interferes with people getting along, and that sort of thing.
Okay, do you find the Bible to be or actually the Christian Bible to be a good moral lesson, or are you offended by it?
There's little pieces in there that, love thy neighbor, that sounds sweet and all, but then when the very next line says to stone people for cursing their parents or for their sexual preference, no, overall I can't call that a good book.
And when it's also clear that by neighbor what they mean is your fellow Israelites,
yeah,
because they have a whole set of different rules about how to treat people from the next country over.
And the only good things that are in there, none of them, always the good things, none of them tend to be original. They're taken from earlier Chinese teachings.
Confucius
Right.
came up with the golden rule 500 years before.
Yeah. So really,
Okay, my last question is, what science do you have to, or scientific facts do you have to prove the absolute non-existence of God?
Good question. The answer is none. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
You're
not about
just- so you're just
because the
winging
way
it.
no. Here's the thing. A basic rational principle. Okay. This is a rule you got to follow if you're going to think clearly and make sense. Is that the burden of proof falls on the person making the positive claim. Okay. I don't have any clear. I don't have any absolute proof from science that. That there isn't an advanced alien civilization living inside our sun, right? I don't. I can't disprove that. If somebody came and proposed that, I'd say, I can't disprove that. But do I believe it? Should I believe it? The
But as
answer is
an
no.
atheist, you're making the claim that there is no God.
No.
We are, no.
No, think about
The
it.
core meaning of the word atheism is someone who is not a theist. An atheist is someone who believes in God, so an atheist is someone who doesn't believe in God, right?
Okay.
I'm not asserting that I know for sure that there isn't an advanced alien civilization living inside our sun, right? I just don't believe in it. Why should I believe in that? Why should I act as if there was one? The burden of proof falls on the person making the positive claim, be it aliens in the sun or gods.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Until it's proven that thing that they're claiming is true, there's no valid reason why anybody should take it seriously.
and the more extraordinary the claim, the more evidence should be demanded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, atheism is could more accurately be characterized as a response to religion, not a religion or some anti-religion in its own right. A theist says God exists. The atheist says, that's nice, prove it. If the theist fails to do so, the atheist remains an atheist. If the theist succeeds in doing so, well, then the atheist might become a theist.
Okay.
An atheist is simply someone who says, atheists are from Missouri, show me. That's the point. So,
Okay.
but that's a common misunderstanding about atheism, and we're glad you brought it up so that we could explain it.
Okay?
All right, thanks.
Thanks for your call.
Take care, Aaron. Talk to us later.
And I had
messed up
mentioned
that time. Go ahead.
That's what I mentioned. I'd given a couple examples from the Old Testament of immorality. I know a lot of people blow off the Old Testament. It's nothing to be followed anymore. So I want to mention the New Testament has some nasty things in it too. That's just one. Clear. I mean, it's
All right. Let's go to Don on 4.
Hey.
Hi, Don. Sorry about that, man.
Oh, no problem.
They gave me this list of the lines, and they're not in order. So the second one on the list was you, but that's line 4.
That doesn't bother me. I'm glad to see you're back on the air. Last week you was terrible.
Well, that was a good show we ran.
Oh, yeah.
It shows our history with Steve, so I thought it had a function to it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about is Steve. But anyway, did you read the paper about the Lady of Guadalupe? She
Again?
showed up in a rusty car.
Again, wow. I'll have to get a picture of that. Is that
It
in
was on
Austin?
the front page of American Statesman.
Now, what's this about? What's this all about?
Well, it was a rusty car, and the guy was repairing the rusty car, and someplace down south in the valley or someplace. And the Lady of Guadalupe showed up on his rusty car, so he put it up on blocks, and everybody's coming to look at
So
it.
it's like a patch of rust that
Yeah.
they think looks like the
Uh-huh.
And
Virgin Mary.
what is he charging for a look at this?
I haven't the slightest idea. I guess he's making a pretty good living.
Many people just do that for attention, though.
Yeah. And another thing I was going to say, you remember you was talking about how urine cures your ails and everything?
was that the show?
That
Oh boy.
guy, yeah.
That was the urine episode. Okay.
Another thing, I was going to tell you, one of the biggest...
We didn't say that. A caller said that. I just want to make it clear.
Yeah, it wasn't us.
You're not
No, I know
promoting
that.
drinking your own
The
urine.
caller said that. But anyway, the biggest person that I've ever known that drank his own urine was Gandhi.
Ew.
He drank it every day.
Yeah, it is from
See how
Hindu
healthy he was.
mysticism. That's where that originated.
And
from.
that's the first time I ever knew anything about it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I have to say. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever want to be as healthy as Gandhi, I'll drink my
my
urine.
Don.
Now we're going to get all these pro-urine drinkers calling in again and getting emotional about it. Takes all kinds.
Oh man, I just want to talking about these sightings of things that are supposed to look like the Virgin and so on. Have we lost Joe Zemecki?
Might have done.
Apparently, they say that we have. Well, I can't keep this straight now.
We're just going to have to pick up phone lines and see
We
who
talked
we
to
get.
Don. Okay. Speaking of citing stuff like that, I mentioned that we went to Enchanted Rock last night.
Yes.
Well, we stayed there well after dark, and it was a really clear night. And so we got to see something you don't often get to see when you live in a city, and that's the Milky Way.
Oh, yeah.
We saw the whole freaking thing, and it was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
When I was sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, I got to see that. That's the best place, the ocean.
I'll bet.
No lights. It's wonderful.
But what really struck me was the utter absence of any kind of organization to that.
Yeah.
It's a spray of points of light in no kind of organization whatsoever. You know, I'm an artist. When I want that effect, I dip a toothbrush in some white paint and go splits, and I get a bunch of stars. I don't take credit for the placement of those stars, right? Because it had nothing to do with me.
Wait a minute.
It's random.
You just proved there's a divine cosmic toothbrush.
But you know, but even though there is no pattern to it whatsoever, what do we got? We got constellations, and constellations are people imposing an interpretation on the placement of those stars.
Right.
Exactly the same way that they're imposing an interpretation now on this patch of rust.
Yeah, not too long ago I investigated oh no, actually it was Jesus who appeared in a tree. But I couldn't even see it. It was so not like Jesus.
All right, let's try to get
well, whoever's
Mimi on line 1. Mimi?
Hello.
Hello, Mimi.
Maybe
We're not getting line 1.
Maybe he wrote that down wrong.
Hello?
Oh,
there you
hi.
Hi.
What can we do for you?
I don't know, I have so many questions for you guys.
Okay, well, I'll start somewhere.
Okay, I think the first one would be, when is it that you would feel that you became an atheist?
Oh, that's an interesting start.
Well, let's just start with you, Martin.
Okay.
Put on the line.
It was, well, it's interesting. It for many, many years, basically starting throughout my teenage years and going into my early adulthood, I knew that the religious teachings that I was getting, hello, we're getting some feedback. Oh,
All right.
There it went. I knew that what I was being taught in church just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But for the longest time, I considered myself an agnostic. Until I learned the difference between agnosticism and atheism. And then I would say it was probably, I would say about 10 or 12 years ago that I decided that to go ahead and use the A word to refer to myself. And I learned what the difference between agnosticism and atheism is, and that I could actually apply both terms to myself, depending on what I was talking about at any given time. So it was a long process for me. It wasn't just this thing where I woke up one morning and decided, there's no God. It took several years. Like I said, I was brought up in actually Southern Baptist Church and attended church all from early childhood. And do not have unpleasant memories of that. I have very fond memories of being a youth in the church I went to when I was in junior high school, particularly in Houston, and did plays and musicals and did a lot of the socials and had a lot of good friends. I have very pleasant memories of those years, but that had nothing to, but apart from that, the relinquishing of my beliefs was a process that I underwent just by looking at the stuff and saying it makes less and less sense every time I look at it, and the questions that I get aren't satisfactory. And then there were other peripheral things that were going on in culture that were turning me off too, because this was the Reagan years and the moral majority was in full swing, and I got to see what happens when religious belief turns into fundamentalist zealotry and a lot of the crazy behavior that these people were exhibiting, and just thinking, I don't want to be associated with those folks. And I will tell you, and then I'll pass it along to Jeff, one instant that sticks in my mind. When I was about 19 years old, and this was after I had really decided, I knew for a fact that I was definitely agnostic, leaning towards atheism, and certainly didn't believe in the Christian God anymore. I humored a friend of mine by going with them to one of these sort of non-denominational tent revival, or, well, it was in one of these warehouse type structures, and the kind of services you see on Christian television where everyone is doing this and they're singing and they're jumping up and down and having all kinds of fun. And at one point during the service, they had the people come up behind the altar and the podium and give their personal heartfelt testimonials of everything that God had done for them. And one fellow came up and started telling the story about how he used to be, he was drunk all the time, he was an alcoholic, and he would, just blow his paycheck on drink and booze, and he would come home and beat his wife and beat his kids, and it was just a really horrible, terrible existence. But then he found Jesus and everything was okay. And all I could think to myself while that was going on was, not only do I not need religion to tell me that it's wrong to be an alcoholic wife beater, I don't think I particularly want to hang out with the kinds of people who need religion to tell them it's wrong to be an alcoholic wife beater. So that's my transition from Christian to atheist.
Okay. For me, it was rather strange. I don't know, we were hearing some voice over the...
I have my volume up high.
Okay. I play role-playing games, those evil Dungeons & Dragons kind of things you may have heard of. But mostly, I didn't play Dungeons & Dragons. I played superhero role-playing games. This is where some kids get together around a table, and one of them is sort of spinning the story, and the other ones are each playing the role of a different superhero with different strange superpowers, fighting criminals and trying to protect the innocent and do the right thing. And as I did this, I couldn't help noticing that the sort of behavior that you were expected to display as a superhero just didn't jive with the sort of behavior that God is credited with having displayed in the Bible. Prompting the Israelites to go around and kill whole cities, bunches and bunches and bunches of cities full of people, and enslave them and take their wives and children and livestock and all this stuff. It just didn't follow that somebody who had all that power could act like that. And this troubled me because I still was a believer. And the turning point for me was when I finally concluded that if God was really a nice guy, if he was really the kind of guy that I could worship and look up to in the first place, then he wouldn't mind me thinking clearly about these things. He wouldn't mind me questioning. And once I'd set that fear aside, that somehow I was dooming myself to hell by thinking about questions like this, suddenly, in the space of the next few months, I realized, boy, none of this makes any sense. I just don't believe it anymore. Arlo?
Well, I think I've been an atheist since I was an atheist about 7 years. I was around 15 years old when I gave up the few beliefs I did have. I was never in with organized religion. I was sort of an agnostic believer. I did find it reasonable to believe in a God because I looked at the universe as being very ordered, and it appeared designed to me. And that was enough to get me to believe in God. And I believed in many other things. Like I was convinced that there was telekinesis and telepathy. It was all all this cool stuff, and I wanted to believe in it. And in my early teen years, I even believed in the alien abduction stories and things. But eventually, I started looking at things from more a scientific and philosophical view, and I found that to be even more interesting. But I learned to not believe in things just because they sound cool. I was just believing in the coolest things. But looking at the universe for the way it is, I think is amazing. It's I can actually remember a particular night when I just finally gave up that last bit of belief in God I had, was just imagining the universe as just being so huge, so mammoth, and imagining it as infinite. You'd imagine an infinite universe and infinite chances for there to be life and infinite possibilities. And it really seemed less unique to me. It didn't seem that, people would always say, what are the chances of human beings seen here? It's 1 in a billion. Well, you have an infinite number of planets, that's more than 1 in a billion, so it happened for sure. And my philosophy is actually different from that, but it sort of thinking along those lines, I started doubting God. Anyway, I've been happier ever since. I've been a lot happier ever since. Not believing in the afterlife.
Me too.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
It's a good thing for me.
Anything else, Mimi?
Okay, of course I have about 1 trillion reactions to that, but
Right.
I can absolutely relate and be empathic towards the feeling of like the traditional Christian that just wants to prove you wrong and fight and be all hostile. But I personally have found that going back to Krishna, Zoroaster, Buddha, Muhammad, go to the great leaders that came before then, and reading those words have not just like absolute truth. It's not like the Alpha and the Omega, but it definitely, you can find treasures in these writings. And I don't know if you're familiar with Khalil Gibran. He wrote The Prophet. He's from Lebanon. He said, when you have found truth, say not that you have found the truth, say that you have found a truth. And I think that's what I kind of I think about when I read about Zoroaster or Krishna or Buddha. And I wondered if you guys investigated these religions as well.
That sounds similar to, I think that sounds similar to the idea that there's multiple truths out there. It's what you believe in. And I
don't think that. Well, it depends. It depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about principles by which one can live a happy life?
No.
Or are you talking about truths, like tangible, hard facts?
Well, that would be subjective to you. It would be something that you identified as a truth. Like when I heard that quote by Khalil Gibran, I thought, right on, like this is so cool. It's not my way, it's right.
But the question is, it's still fair to ask, well, is that really a way? Is that really even a truth?
Well, about anything.
Because there are different truths that people will claim that are mutually exclusive. And in cases like that, they can't all be right.
But what if you didn't think like massively? You didn't think group-wise. You just thought individual-wise. Like I'm just talking about you, Jeff.
What do you mean?
Like what you believe, what you know is truth.
No, I don't make claims like that.
Really? Like not even that the grass is green?
Well, that's not a belief.
That's not a question of belief.
No, I'm not talking about beliefs. I'm just talking about truth.
Okay. I limit my my labeling of things as truth to stuff that's so patently obvious that anybody who's thinking clearly has to agree with it. Okay? And so as soon as we get into areas of religion where there are disputes, I'm not willing to label any of those truths, right? Because they can't all be right, and until it can be they could all be wrong, though.
And I should hope truth is objective, not subjective.
Yeah. This is a very interesting discussion that we could probably go much deeper into, but we're running out of time, so we have more callers.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for talking to me.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you please call back. We do like your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Call us next Sunday.
Okay. Bye-bye, Mimi.
Bye-bye.
I would just repeat something that I heard Vic say once, which is...
control room, hang up on one.
Which is, I gotta lean down because we're super close on me. Hi, folks. Is that I don't believe in the things I know because I know them, and I don't believe in the things I don't know because I don't know them. You'll find that most atheists and most people who take the rational approach to life don't use belief as the knowledge module. Okay? I mean, you look at what reality shows you. You look at the evidence of either your experience, your personal experience. If you don't know how something works, find an expert, get them to educate you. I would agree with what appeared to be an assertion you were making that this whole idea that religions that claim to lay a claim to some sort of absolute truth with a capital T are faulty. I would agree that they're wrong. But I also would be very cautious in entertaining this notion that truth as a general concept is this relevant thing, relative thing, that anyone can just make up their own truth and that's what truth is to them. I think that there are facts that are hard facts that are true that we can reach a consensus on. But just to say, oh, well, I'm going to choose to believe like so-and-so, or I'm going to choose to believe like such and such, and whatever I believe is going to be truth for me, I think that leads to a lot of faulty thinking because, your perception of how we want the world to be and how the world really is aren't usually the same thing. And if you live that way, you could hurt yourself.
I also get real, cautious when we start talking about, what works for you personally, personal truths, because, truth for me is a question of fact, right? A thing that is true is a thing that is fact, and it's got to be, nearly indisputable for it to qualify as that. And so when we talk about, what makes you happy, well, that's subjective. That can't be a truth. Subjective things can't be a truth. Subjective things are just subjective things.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mary. Mary?
Yes, but we've got to find a way for more people to be happy. We've got to find a common place where it's safe for people to express themselves, to find what makes them happy people. And there aren't very many of those safe places for people. The basic intellectual dishonesty with the argument that this is what God says is right and all of that is that you're dealing with minds that can't make their own arguments, so they have to borrow arguments, and they bring their imaginary friend to the argument.
Yeah.
And he's there, but he's just not talking. You don't know what his ideas really are,
Right.
but all you've got is what this person is saying are his ideas, and that's a way of manipulating the argument to where you never come up with any resolution of any kind. You just keep arguing it over and over like a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah.
And that's why I have to, for the rest of my life, I think, avoid Christians or real religious people completely, because I don't think there's any way that I'll ever be able to communicate with them on any meaningful level at all.
What's also interesting...
We're try. Go ahead, Arlo.
I was just going to say, what's interesting about a lot of people out there who are very intelligent and religious, there are people who tend to think things out, determine their morality by what's practical or whatever, using their brain, and then say, so that must be what God wants. So it works both ways.
That's a leap of faith.
Yeah, I mean, God just happens to agree with everything they think is moral. And
I'm real careful with those leaps of faith.
They're not really conscious. They're even looking at it that way.
Well, they need to take a better, longer, harder look, and in the meantime, shut up with it.
Right.
Martin, okay? That's it for me.
Okay, Mary, thank you for your call.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. She's always fun. I was just going to say that, most religious belief being rooted in emotionalism, reason really can never win against emotion in an emotional argument, because in an emotional argument you just start spinning around and around in rhetorical circles until everybody's happy again, and then the argument's over.
And the instant you get emotional about promoting reason, people say you're angry, and therefore, you showed emotion, therefore you must be wrong.
Yeah.
Good grief. Okay, let's go to Peter on line 4.
Hello.
Peter.
Howdy.
Hi. Thanks for waiting. I know you've been on the line a long time.
Oh, no, nothing.
Okay.
I was inspired by a girl who called earlier talking about how when God gets really angry, he gets angry, and it was like in response to something y'all said about God sending bears to kill children. I hadn't even really heard of that one, but...
Kings.
But something that I was just thinking about the other day is just that a person's God's beliefs really are their beliefs, because they believe that God knows everything and is right about everything, and so if he thinks that's moral or correct, or you're deserving of eternal flames or whatever, then that's what they think about you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very offensive. I mean, the believer sort of has to believe that we deserve hell. A lot of Christians will just say, I don't think you should go to hell. God thinks you should go to hell. But you think God's making...
you worship the guy who thinks we should go to hell. Come on. What's up with that?
That's no excuse.
I heard Pat Boone, who's a celebrity Christian singer, someone say on television one time that God created hell for the people who choose to go there. Now, why would even the most deranged, evil, psychopathic maniac, even Jack the Ripper, why would he choose to go to a place where he would be tortured forever? It just makes no sense. The only kind of creature that would create a place of eternal torture in the first place must be patently evil. To think that torture is a good idea at all.
And the evilest person that there ever has been. I mean, let's not claiming that I know for sure who that is, but let's take Adolf Hitler, right? Adolf Hitler committed a finite amount of evil, right? I mean, it was horrifying, but he killed a finite number of people, right? There is no way even Adolf Hitler deserves eternal torment. It can't possibly be fair.
I saw something really funny on TV the other day. One of these, I just caught like one little quote from this guy, but it was hilarious. He said, "If God wants your money, He's gonna get your money. So it's better for you if you go ahead.
You may as well send it to this lunatic."
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah, why would an omnipotent being need money to do things?
Can't he waggle his fingers and just create money?
Yeah. Oh, there. You need a new church?
One way or another.
Yeah, you need a new Christian amusement park there.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
thanks for the call, Peter.
No problem.
We got 40 seconds.
We're coming down to the wire. Those of you still on the line, thank you for calling. Please try again next week. We always try to get to as many callers as we can, but we don't always.
Bagel Shop meeting, 10:30.
Bagel Shop meeting. I don't suppose we can get closing music running in the last few seconds.
I just want to make a
that
final
would've been
comment
great.
about, me presenting this stuff and making fun of silly religious thanies. That might be negative, but what's more negative is how do people treat atheist material? It tends to be censored, if not banned completely. So compared to that, it could be worse.
Christians,
we
don't hate you. We just think you're wrong.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. See you next week.